lo and behold, I have found some good lighting. A Milani fitness video in this economy? What? All right, so I figured that if I was gonna come back and do some videos, I might as well do something simple and fun that's easy for you guys to follow along with. So what we're gonna be doing today is the Obi-Ani, which is that spin right there, as a lot of the kind of pop culture, Star Wars, lightsaber guys like to call it. But in the martial arts world, we just kind of call it a modification of the figure eight spin, which is a very common spin found in all martial arts weaponry. So to get started with this spin, you want to go into a nice kind of walking stance, as we call it. And what that is it's just kind of, instead of just standing straight on like this, like you could totally like T-pose, but it's better if you stand in what we call a walking stance, which is kind of your feet parallel and a little bit apart, and you're like this. So I'm pretty sure you can see my feet here, or if you're left-handed, you could do it that way, so on and so forth. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to get rid of our sword. And bear in mind, this is a bokken, so this is a wooden katana training sword. So you can do this with a stick. You can literally do this with anything. You can do it with a staff. You can do it with anything. But we're going to start without our katana or without our stick. And we're going to hold out our hand. And we're going to draw a giant figure eight. Okay? So we're going to draw like this. Okay? And then all I want you to do is I want you to bring that figure eight in a little bit closer, okay? And when you bring that figure eight in a little bit closer, I want you to start to do the motion instead of with your arm. I want you to imagine doing it with your wrist, okay? So we can start to combine the two by leading with the wrist, right? So the wrist leads that figure eight motion and the arm complements it, okay? You want as much of this movement to be coming from the wrist as possible. So if we grab our katana or our stick, training sword, what have you, we do the same thing. So we're going to follow our sword or weapon along that figure eight. And then let's just loosen up the wrist a little bit, okay? We're going to loosen up the wrist. And I know this looks very funny and very sloppy right now, but trust in the process. And we're going to bring it a little bit closer. Try not to move your torso so much, right? Try to keep your torso nice and stable once you begin to get the movement. And then we use our wrist more and more and more until we end up with this kind of a result here, which is very tight, okay? The hand is loose, the wrist is loose, the wrist is doing most of the work, but the arm is, of course, keeping the katana from smashing into our body. So again, we start with wide here. I'll do it from this side for you. And we come in, and then we loosen the wrist, right? We start here, out, in, loosen the wrist, okay? So once you're able to do the figure eight spin like this, again, from the front, it's like this, you're ready for the next step, which, granted, is the hardest step. So this is where it turns from the figure eight spin into the Obi-Ani, as they call it, or I would just call it a modified figure eight spin. So what you're doing is we're going to do it from a side view here. So, and technically what I said about the walking stance is true if you're practicing like the figure eight itself, which it's better for learning the figure eight. But if you're doing the Obi-Ani, a lot of guys use it as a transitional movement between spins, as I'll explain later. So if we're here in our walking stance and we're doing our little figure eight spin, what's going to happen is when we hit to the outside of our body, okay, so when we're doing our spin and we fall to the outside of our body here, all we're going to do is really loosen up the hand, right? So we're doing our figure eight, chilling out. We reach the outside, really loosen with that hand. When that happens, the staff is going to want to, or the sword, sorry, is going to want to do a spin here, right? And then you're like, okay, well, where do I take this spin? So we're here and it falls to the side. Now we're here. Well, where do I take this? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to totally noodle up your wrist and you're going to go like this. And you're just going to drop it, okay? So you go here and you go to the outside. It begins its second spin and then drop. and just loosen up the wrist a lot. Don't loosen your grip on the sword itself, but loosen up your wrist. So we're here and loosen, right? So we're here and we loosen, okay? And when that loosening happens, then we're gonna allow that momentum to follow through. So we're doing our spin here. We come to the outside, sword comes up, we loosen, and then you'll see here that the sword kind of wants to follow this motion here. So we're gonna let that motion happen, and it's gonna come in front of us in this very awkward position. This is gonna feel very awkward for you guys at first, but we're here, we come to the outside, comes up, loosen the wrist, and it comes over here, okay? So a little bit more fluid, figure 8, comes to the outside, loosen the wrist, dip it down, and around we come. Okay, from this side here, figure 8, outside, dip it down, and it comes around the body. So this is really a great way to get this, is just do one figure 8, one, loosen, and come around. Just like this. Do not worry about being flowy at first, but you want to focus on doing the figure 8, loosening it behind the body, and bringing it around. Again, this is an awkward movement. For some people, this might not feel so awkward, but for me, this is pretty awkward. But this is how the movement is done. And so the way that you connect it is once we're here and we dip and we come around and we're here, well, we can basically just go like this, oh, and then we're back into our spin, right? So very slowly, we come out here, loosen the wrist, we come around, and we allow the momentum to flow back, right? So if we put it all together, nice and slow, we've got boom, boom, relax, and around. Boom, boom, relax, and around. Boom, boom, relax, and around. And then you're doing your Obi-Ani. Now, once you get the hang of that, I mean, this is sort of the end of the video. You got to practice that now, and you got to get real good at it. But let's say you get it super easy. You can actually start connecting it to other spins additionally, instead of the figure 8. So this is where you start to mess with how momentum transfers in these kinds of sword movements. So if I'm going here, and I do my Obi-Ani, and I come around, well, what have I got here? Well, I've got momentum coming up this way, as I explained before, right? The momentum is coming up this way. Okay, well, if the momentum is coming up that way, why don't I just do a reverse figure 8? See, and then we're doing a reverse figure 8. And then I can just take that momentum, and because it's coming this way, I can just come back here, and I can go in everlasting loop. And so that is how those fancy sword spinners start to get all that fancy looking combination stuff. You just have to learn the different momentum connections between each sword spin. And the more you practice them, the more those transitions will make sense. Now, of course, these movements look a lot cooler if you do them with a real sword. And you'll notice the reason these aren't really in combat is also because they can be extremely slow if you're doing them properly. And it's also immensely dangerous because you can cut yourself. But because I'm experienced, I'm able to do it at a lower speed here, right? So I can go like this, come around, and here I am. Go around, and I can do it continuously, right? And I can do it from the front view. And the more you experiment with these movements, the more you're going to be able to do. Big issue why you can't go very fast with a full-size katana is because it just weighs quite a bit. But if you have a nice light demonstration sword, like this wushu sword I've got here, you can go super fast. And then that's how you get those super cool demonstrations where the people are going like, just like that. Even though I gotta practice my Chinese sword a little bit more. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you get off your butt, do some fitness, because you got to care about your health and longevity. And I will see you guys in the next video.